Okay, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to discuss adding just that little bit of touch of guilt. Most friendships or transactions work on an ideal of reciprocity. When someone does something for you, you know there is an underlying expectation that the favor will someday be returned. In capitalism, when we go out and buy something, we typically exchange cash for a purchase. So the ideal of reciprocity exists in the commerce system too. Since that's the way we live, it's often bringing out a feeling of guilt if we take something and don't give something in return. That's the basis of this next strategy that can be used to trigger behavior to help you market and sell your product. So, what's the strategic plan? In order to trigger a sense of guilt that leads to a purchase, you have to frame your offer in a way that brings out the ideal of reciprocity in the sales prospect, just in a very subtle way. If you actually try to guilt trip them in obvious manners, this strategy can backfire as no one likes to be manipulated. So, while you're going to actually do things that seem like a nice extra to your customer, it's actually going to send out the message, I've scratched your back, now you scratch mine. Now, some people are very more guilt prone than others, even if everyone holds a basic ideal of a fair exchange. On the internet specifically, in particular, there are hordes of people who want offers for free and have no shame taking them without giving anything of value in return. These kind of people are even as shameless as providing sham email addresses in exchange for free newsletters or reports that they can't get otherwise. Once they receive the free product, they simply destroy the throwaway email. And uh, there's little guilt involved. So you want to be able to target people who not only feel a little guilt as receiving free offers, but it will also trigger buying behavior too. The most effective way to use guilt is to create an invisible lasso of obligation that literally pulls the prospective buyer to close on your offer. Then there are many others who appear immune to your tries to guilt trip them into buying. That's because of the way people have become quite jaded about returning anything of value for a free offer. And so you have to work harder by repeating free offers. And also, you have to vary the offers too. A free newsletter in exchange for an email may have worked in the past, but it's not so easy now to start putting people in a sales funnel quite that easily. So you need to be creative in the freebies you give and how they are procured. You do want to decide what you're going to give away quickly, whether it's a stamp, a coupon, an expensive briefcase to have something to do with the product you're trying to sell. Even though any small gift in the right setting can help you to sell, through bribing people into a state of compliance and providing you an interested ear for your sales offer. So, what are the psychological triggers? The pull of a bribe is so powerful that there are even laws against it in social and corporate policies. A bribe is usually, something someone gives you with an underlying expectation that in the future you will do something that they want you to do. It is usually done with a basic understanding that you are willing to give favoritism in exchange for a gift. Well, that's really not far from, what you're attempting to do here in this strategy, except it's perfectly legal in some cases. You don't want to violate any ethical or legal provisions if you are dealing with clients who can't receive gifts, but other than that, it's up to you to decide, what you want to give away. Generally, the bigger the gift is, the more sense of obligation, people perceive they have towards you. So if you're trying to sell something large like a timeshare, the gift tends to be free weekends at a resort. These are large gifts that prime you into feeling, cheap at the end of your stay. You refuse to sign the dotted line to buy the timeshare at the resort. However, you'll notice they call it a free stay, and that the only obligation is that you attend a sales seminar at the end. That really puts the hint in prospective buyer's head that it really isn't free, even if it's labeled free. People also like to reciprocate in kind. That means if someone lends you money, they usually want to pay you back with money. On the other hand, if they help you to move your household goods when you buy a house, the underlying expectation is that when they move, you'll be there for them too. Money is not the underlying expectation. So you want to set up the offer so that they understand how they are reciprocating in kind, and then ask them for the sale. Just in case they don't get it the first time, you can give them multiple gifts and build up the sense of guilt over time. They will either think you are one of the nicest people or businesses out there, or they really should start thinking about buying from you to pay you back because the subconscious guilt becomes overwhelming. So, how do you implement this effectively? In order to see how to implement this strategy, there are many examples in sales you can review. The idea of salespeople, taking their clients to lunch or dinner is a form of this strategy that makes the client more susceptible to closing a sale. Another example is when you get a free newsletter without obligation to buy. You'll see these, stands at different venues like grocery stores. There, a person asks if you'd like a free newsletter. Then you go pick it up. They ask you if you have a subscription and engage you in a sales transaction. It should be pretty obvious that you don't have a subscription. Otherwise, you wouldn't bother to pick up the newsletter. But the idea isn't to determine whether you have it, but to engage you in a conversation that leads to them presenting their subscription offer, all for the price of a free newspaper that they hope will guilt you into buying the subscription. Similarly, you want your freebie to be a segue into your offers. You also want something that can stimulate the desire to buy as well as guilting people into it. Then it can be a very powerful strategy. For instance, sometimes you'll get free stands or display cases for people who sell collector's items. The bigger and more elegant the display case, the more likely that you will not only feel pleasure, but also a certain amount of guilt for having received such a nice gift. The combination of these two emotions will lead you to buy more from the company, not only to pay them back, but to also show off your collection in a really nice display case. Charities know how to use this strategy quite well. They will send out mailings asking for donations and include small gifts like stamps, stickers, or even address labels, with the mailings. Not only are more people likely to open the mailing to get the goodies, but they are also more likely to donate too. Online, you can use the same strategy by offering to give people free information in the form of reports or newsletters. You can even use email to send out weekly messages that can either be entertaining or informational. Just be sure that people have given you permission to be contacted by email so that it doesn't get you into trouble. This develops a relationship with your subscription holders. If your information proves to be valuable or any entertaining, people will want to read it, and then you can market them for other offers. In order to keep the freebie on target, they generally contain information that is in accordance with your market niche. That way, it not only gives the buyer a sense of guilt, but also primes the way for your other products like ebooks, etc. You can even advertise other offers within the reports to help set the stage to sell them. Software sellers know how to use this strategy pretty well by allowing people to download either demo versions or free trials so that the potential customer gets to experience the product for a short time or a limited features basis. Often, once the trial ends, the person is so hooked on the product, they will register to buy it and be grateful for the chance to try it out beforehand. Another great way to stimulate a sense of guilt is to go the extra mile for your customers. If people feel you're making an extra effort just for them, then they not only feel special, but also more interested in reciprocating in the relationship. You can give them more than what they expect to receive and tell them, it's a free gift just because. This almost always works to cement a good relationship. Even the appearance of giving more than what you promise will also stimulate a sense of obligation. For instance, you have a great package that includes various reports, templates, videos, and ebooks. The entire package could be worth 100 bucks, but instead of selling it for that, you sell it for 60 bucks. And you let everyone know that you're only charging for one item, the ebook, and everything else is free. It's a free gift. Is it a bribe? Of course it is. Now, you've not only given something away for free in their eyes, but you also made a big effort in providing everything they need to have to solve their problem. You've done all the work of putting all the pieces together for them. And this can also produce a profound sense of obligation as well as connection. The extra effort can also be something as small as adding something nice to the sale when it's delivered and letting the customer know it was added intentionally. Some businesses add candy, but this can melt and get sticky in the summer when it's mailed. And it's not associated with the product you sell, unless you happen to sell candy. So try to stick to things that people appreciate and that will help them think of your products more often. If you're selling office supplies, you can always add additional freebies to the order, like large paper clips or their URL and print it on stuff. It's not only a way of inducing a little touch of guilt, but it also is a way to remind them, where to order their office supplies next time they run out. So what's the timing for this strategy? The timing for this strategy is typically before any sales pitch has been made. Although, as we just discussed, it can be used after a sale is completed as well. If you use it before the sales pitch has been made, you may have to do it several times to get the trigger. The internet makes it very easy to allow people to sign up to get free articles, videos, and other electronic formats in exchange for an email address. At that point, you are not asking for anything in return, even if the email address is what you're truly after. You are simply giving away things that can help people to connect with you. If they do get the free item that you've offered them, they might feel more of an obligation to find out more about the rest of your products. So you can use the free products to remind potential prospects of your other offers. The freebies can even be used as teasers to give people a taste of a larger product, and that will entice them with both desire and with guilt. That concludes this lesson. We'll see you on the next video.